let's hit on the subject matter that our friend Tom Curran of NBC Sports Boston threw out there, that according to people that he speaks to in the know, that once the Patriots lost to the Colts in the International Series finale in Germany, the Kraft family decided that was going to be the end of Belichick's reign in New England, and they're just playing things out until it's done at a more, I guess, appropriate time after the season. What do you make of this, Albert Breer?
Well, I mean, first of all, I take what Tom says to the bank. He's very plugged in. I am full disclosure, it's been sort of a mentor of mine. So, I would take everything that Tom says at face value. I would also say this, just as far as my own knowledge on this isn't a decision that Robert Kraft's going to make on Black Monday. This isn't a decision that Robert and Jonathan Kraft are going to mull over in the days leading up to that season finale against the Jets at Gillette. This is something that's been on their mind. And, this is something that's going to be a decision that's made over months, not weeks. And, it goes back to Robert's, old saying, which he uses this over and over and over again in a lot of different circumstances, is measure 9 times and cut once. He understands the gravity of the situation. He's also marked by 2 different things, here. And I think one is how the departure of Tom Brady went, where they didn't get any compensation and Brady goes and wins the Super Bowl somewhere else. And then 2, his own Hall of Fame candidacy. And the optics of how would it look if I'm the guy who got rid of both Brady and Belichick, and where does that leave me? And so I think that this is multi-layered. And I think what Kraft wants, and this is me talking, I think what Kraft wants is an elegant solution to this. He wants a conclusion that looks the right way and that honors Belichick the right way. And I think that's easy if Bill's going to retire. But if this isn't it for Bill, and Bill wants to go coach somewhere else, that's where it can get complicated and awkward. So I don't know for a fact that they've talked about this. It would sort of surprise me if Robert and Jonathan hadn't tried to broach it with Bill. It would surprise me if they didn't do that well ahead of time. Now, whether they've done it or not yet, I don't know. But it wouldn't really surprise me if those guys didn't, at some point well before that finale against the Jets, addressed it with Bill directly.
Well, there was a full bye week after their loss in Germany to the Colts, and it's a shocker. I'll shoot you straight up. I mean, we have heard about coaches losing a game overseas and then they get fired on the bye week after that, so it would kind of check a box that they did make that decision after an international game that they really wanted to win in Germany. But obviously, this is not just any coach. It's not just any organization. It's not just any situation, which is why I think it also checks out that they're not making this a rash decision on Sunday night after Week 18 against the Jets.
Right.
But it also would check boxes that Belichick would be given this heads up, and then he would have an opportunity to figure out what his next move is going to be too, right? I mean, that's
and I think one thing that I think gives the Kraft some flexibility here is I think they probably have the next guy in house, and so.
In Gerard Mayo, you're talking about.
Gerard Mayo, right.
Okay.
The linebackers coach who obviously was a great player there, first-round pick. Now, I can tell you personally, I've worked with him before. He is A+ in every way, as a person. And you can see what they see in him. And, we talk a lot about the young offensive coach trend, right? Well, there's an ex-player trend that seems to be working out pretty well now, too, with Dan Campbell and D'Amico Ryans and Mike Vrabel and Kevin O'Connell. And, Gerard would sort of be, I think in that category. And, part of this is Gerard turned down an interview with the Panthers last year and got a new contract. And his contract dovetails with Belichick's. And so things logistically are set up where Gerard could easily be moved into that role, maybe with a new general manager coming in. And I think that does give you some flexibility if you're the Krafts, where you could sit there and say, we're not in any rush to launch a coaching search because we probably have our guy right here. Now, there are some things that they've got to do, per the Rooney Rule to satisfy certain things before they were to hire Gerard. But, I do think that there's that element of it where, you don't feel this rush to start a coaching search because you're competing against 7 or 8 other teams on the market. If you think you've got your guy in house, it allows you to kind of act with a little bit more patience and not have the same level of urgency that some other teams do. And that to me is another thing that makes this unique, on top of, how like Bill's last 4 years probably would get coaches fired somewhere, but you can't discount the 20 years that came before that, which is probably the greatest run a coach has ever had.
And then he just won a game that nobody expected him to win, and has been, honestly, and he's as dynamite as they come if he wants to do TV or anything like that. So there are many options here. Obviously, Albert Breer here on the Rich Eisen Show. Before I move on, is Kraft there? I mean, has anyone, because Belichick had addressed it today and said, I'm focused on Kansas City. What did Kraft have to say?
Kraft, I would say, has made himself scarce at this meeting on the October meeting in New York, and that's not par for the course with him. At these meetings, he'll at least kind of walk through where the media is, and he won't duck the media. And especially like at like a day like today, like this, Robert's involved in the international stuff.
Big time.
You know what I mean? Like, so he would not. Like, I would think like he wouldn't mind actually coming and speaking to the media and explaining why they're going to Brazil and all of that different stuff. He would probably like to talk about that, but he knows if he comes out where it's going. You know what I mean? Like, so he's made himself scarce here. He made himself scarce in October. It's a little out of character for him. Not that he does a press conference at every owners meeting, but he generally will be at least available to chit chat or whatever. And he's been noticeably absent from the media areas over the last couple of owners meeting, I think for obvious reasons.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.